So let me pick this up. Da-da-da. This is the Paradise Arcade Shop MPress that they provided me a copy of, so thanks very much to them for that. And I just wanted to make a little video about my thoughts on it. It wasn't like a deal of, hey, we'll give you this thing, make a review for it, but you know, I think that's nice to do anyway. In part because it's going to be positive, just to break it down, fast forward right to the end, positive review. My background is that I've been on like the hunt for improvements in the way that we play fighting games for a super long time. I've been making joysticks myself for over 15 years at this point. You can see a couple of them here. I always like doing weird things. Instead, what I want to have is something that really fits my needs. I have joint problems, I have nerve problems going on many years at this point. And so for me, the things that I need are like maybe not what other people need, but I'm on this hunt, right? And so I also travel a lot, at least when the world isn't ended. I'm trying to fit a stick in my backpack as I travel, right? Trying to travel as lightly as possible. That's the ideal. And so I have these like particular needs. I had been thinking about the idea of having a really thin stick for a long time and thinking about like how I could make that happen. I don't have the tech to make something like this. Like I don't have this ability. So instead, what I was planning on was something that I kind of have ended up working on, which is my split box over here that I've showed off many times. But like along with that, I thought it'd be cool. What if buttons were really thin? What if the throw was way shorter than typically? And what if you didn't need wiring? What if you just like built a custom circuit board and just like printed the traces rather than having wiring? So several years back, I had this conversation with Brian from Paradise Arcade. We sat down at some major, I don't even remember where it was at this point, and we kind of talked about this. And you know, I told him what I'm looking for. Do you have these really short throw buttons? Can you customize this stuff? Can you print up your own circuit board? And it turned out that he had been thinking about these things too. You know, so it was super cool that we had this conversation. Two people who have been thinking about this and like how to make this kind of stuff happen. Well, he has the tech, and the end result of this is the MPress, and it's super cool to see that this project has actually come to fruition. We talked about it a bunch. I don't want to try to overstate my role in this or anything like that, but it has been very cool to see that he also had this idea, that he had the tech, you know, and the people at Paradise Arcade Shop have made this happen. It's really cool. So you got these 3 layers, a little bit of acrylic at the bottom, then you have the actual circuit board. Come on, focus. There it is. And then the top layer again, which is thicker. It's about like 12.5-ish by 9 is how I measured it here. And vertically, it's basically 1 inch. And that includes the height of the buttons. So basically, if you measure from bottom of stick to top of buttons, it's about 1 inch. So the buttons are custom made as well. And you can probably see that. They have no rims, right? Look at this, no rims on this. They're 30mm buttons in the sense that like normal 30mm buttons are, but just without the rims. So they take up less space and you get like the same amount of physical land area to like press your fingers on, which feels really nice. It doesn't weigh terribly much, but like it's really sturdy. They even put up a video of Brian like running over it with a car to show that it's actually really sturdy and can handle a bunch. As far as the layout goes, as you can see, it's not exactly like traditional hitbox layout. The up is in a little bit different position. The buttons here are slightly differently positioned. That might not even be easy for you to tell, but these are at the same height rather than a hitbox, which has this side a little bit lower. I'll get into why that matters. These are the sort of top buttons. I don't know, start. What do you have in the consoles these days? Start and select? I don't know, home? The PSN button? Whatever, these are the things. And L3 and R3 are up here as well. If you would like to turn those off, you can. There's a little feature right here, this little switcheroo that lets you just turn these off if you would like to. If you're in a tournament or something and you don't want to take a risk of like accidentally mashing one of these buttons, get them out of there. You can definitely make that happen. And then the Brook UFB, whoop, as the PCB. Brook UFB is what I use as well in my own builds. And it's great because it's compatible with everything. You know, they do a really good job at keeping that up to date. It is, like I said, it's a stickless, it's hitbox layout, kind of, but it is a little bit different, as I said. So here's why those differences matter. For me, as somebody who has, again, these kind of ergonomic issues, I don't want to be in a physical position where my hands are really close and straight out. Like this kind of a position to me, obviously lower on my lap, but this kind of like I'm really in and my fingers are straight out. It's really uncomfortable. It doesn't, I can't play it very long in that kind of a form. What's nice about the layout here is that it allows your hands to instead come at a slight angle. Again, that's the same way that I build my own. My split box is kind of built to be a little bit at an angle. So that's what I mean when I say that these side ones are not as far down. It allows you to play at this angle that you don't really get when it comes to some of the other sticklesses out there. So for me, that's really, it feels good. I like how that feels. I can play on it for longer, right? I don't notice that I have little sort of wrist pain afterward because I'm just coming at it from this kind of much more ergonomic, from the side sort of view. So I really like that part of it. For me, that's a huge part of why I've enjoyed playing on this since I got it. The buttons being bigger but still close to each other means that I get more surface area without needing to spread out. So when I'm playing on a normal stick with 30mm buttons that have rims, I have to have this kind of wider hand position, or I'm just moving around more, right? Maybe I'm not spreading my fingers out, but I have to move my hand around more. And that is uncomfortable for me, again. And so I don't have to do this. This is a really nice combination of these two features of not having to move around very much like you do with a 24mm button typically that's used in a stickless design, and also having a little bit more leeway in terms of where your finger position can be. So I can fidget. That is to say, I'm not moving on purpose, but I'm very fidgety. And so being able to fidget slightly as I'm playing is really it's a nice bonus for me. So I can do that with this, and I feel good walking around on it. The way that the buttons feel is really nice. They have MX switches in there, and they feel great, honestly. The throw is really short to get it active, which is really nice. So you don't need to slam down on them. Well, if you'd like to, obviously you can push all the way down, but you don't need to. And again, that kind of goes with the same sort of thing that I'm looking for, of wanting something that allows me to play lightly. I don't need to be slamming stuff. Again, for this ergonomic concern that I have, that is really, really beneficial for me. Another thing that I really like about it is this small form factor. It is super travelable. I really like this, that it's super travelable. I was saying earlier that when the world was alive, I traveled a lot. I was traveling a couple of weeks out of each month, something like that on average, like a lot. And so having something that makes it easier for me to travel is really convenient. Again, I've tried to do that with my own builds. So with this is my little split box attachment, and it goes over my shoulder, and as you can see, it has these little attachments here, at these little places where I can put hooks. So the idea is for easy travel. But what's cool with the MPress is that you actually don't even need to do that. You could just put it in your backpack, and it would fit in the same laptop bag that I carry around anyway. I've tested this, and it works with my tablet in there, with my keyboard in there, and also it just fits also. I also just want to say that I think it's really pretty. That's, I think, not irrelevant for me, is how pretty it is. And it's cool because it's pretty in a unique way. I gotta be honest, I don't like a lot of the ways that normal sticks look. People make like fancy art, or they make it out of wood and they buff it to make it look gorgeous. I want it to be, I like a clean utilitarian look, okay? If it's not clean, I like it to be weird. I want a weird look, okay? There it is. And this is that kind of clean utilitarianism that I really enjoy. So you can see the traces here. That's awesome. I really like that. The fact that the buttons and the background are all really customizable is great. I mean, this is the color scheme that I went with. Like, they asked me, what color scheme do you want? And I was like, give me red and white. Like, I think that's a super cool look. You can get many other colors though, and you can customize like individual button colors even. It's got beveled edges here, so you're not worried about, you know, having your wrists here and getting cut up or anything like that, that's really convenient too. I mean, look, if you are somebody who likes customized art, I've also seen people insert art into the middle here, so underneath the top acrylic layer. If you'd like to do that, that's cool. You can make that happen as well. I think there's a couple things that I would rather be different about it. Not major things, not like big problems, but a couple things. So here's one. The bottom is, again, it's like cool acrylic. It's got, you know, you can see the undersides, pretty nifty, but it's also really easily scratchable. And although I've been primarily playing on my lap, there are some scratches on here. And so, you know, I think that's kind of a bummer based on like how the look of the overall Stickless is. I get why they wouldn't put like feet or something on here if the goal is to have this be as like solid as possible. Then, you know, maybe want to introduce like parts where there's going to be more pressure than others. I don't know if you could run it over with a car if you do that. Okay, but like what I'm going to do, basically as soon as I have recorded this, is put on some drawer liner. Let me grab that. Here's what I do with my sticks. I take one of these guys, just a regular old drawer liner that you can get at whatever Home Depot or whatever is near you, and I put it on top of the stick and also underneath. So, you know, this is gonna go on the bottom. I mean, I'll cut it to look nicer, not just gonna haphazardly do it, but you know, this kind of thing here. So it's you know, it's rubbery, it's a little bit sticky, it's a little bit padded, so it kind of gets all those things across. So it's not going to get scratched on the bottom, it's not going to move around on my lap, it's not going to move around if I'm playing on the, you know, on this kind of situation. Very easy to move it around. If you have this underneath it, it's not going to be as easily sliding. I also wish that the up was in a different position, slightly, or else that the up button was a little bit bigger. Something like that just allows me to have a little bit more natural spread, for me at least, for my own hand. The way that my hand wants to sit is like this. This is how I want to sit, and as you can see, that's not a big deal, and I've definitely gotten used to playing with it. If you're somebody who is a more dedicated hitbox specific user, then having the up button here for left and right is something that's important to you. For me, I never use the up with my right hand when I'm playing on Sticklesses. In fact, on my own builds, I just remove that option entirely because I never use it. So this is maybe a me-specific concern, but I would like that to be in a different position. Oh well. Even less of a big deal, to be honest, but also maybe a me issue, is that I don't know what button's which. I don't know, like, which one of these buttons is the X on Xbox or PlayStation. I don't know. Which one's L2? I don't know, is it one of these? It's probably one of these. But I have no idea. And that's a problem for me on my own things. I don't know what button's which on this guy either. I have no idea. But like maybe that would be nice. And on the top ones, you know, I have even less certainty. Every single time I've used this, and I've been using it for a couple of months at this point, and I want to do pause and go to training mode or whatever it is, I literally go, I don't know which one's which. Like one of them, oh, the last one was home, and I found out because it did some weird stuff on my PC. That's not ideal. I could do with those top row buttons being a little bit smaller also. I don't know that they need to be the same size as everything else. For me, these could be tiny ones. Again, these seem like really quibbling things. They, of course, when you get it, they have a poster that goes along with it that tells you what each button does. So if you're a moron like me, you can just look at that. But you know, ideally, I would like it to say like, here's a little thing. The issue, of course, is that it comes with the Brook UFB, which is compatible with all these different things. And Nintendo and PlayStation and Xbox famously can't agree on which one's the X button. So okay, but you know, it'd be nice. Anyway, this is not a big deal at all. Overall, I really like the MPress. This has been awesome. I've had a really good time playing on this. I should say that I've also had some of my friends who play on Hitbox play on this, just to see what they think. You know, I don't play on Hitbox brand Stickless. I've made my own stuff. They play on, me and people who play on Hitbox brand, just to see what they think. And they have really liked it, right? Like, it's been easy for them to pick up and use. It's really thin. It's solid. They like how the buttons feel too. So it's been cool to sort of travel around travel. It's been cool to show this off to friends since the world has opened up a little bit, and I have hung out with friends a couple times to play games. I've seen what they have to say, and they're positive about it too. I'm just really happy that this kind of experimentation is going on. This is not the only really small form factor Stickless going on out there. There's a Snackbox Micro too. There's at least a couple other people who are working on similar ideas. That kind of experimentation is great because there's no reason to be married to the idea of a joystick and buttons. There's no reason to be married even to the idea of the hitbox layout that hitbox brand has been using. Those are great, for sure. I played on stick for many years. I then played on hitbox for a while. I like all the people involved with that. But there's no reason to stick with that. Like, we should be experimenting. And this for me is a really good example of experimentation. Again, the fact that it's, the buttons are rimless, which is unique. The fact that it's a printed circuit board in the back rather than having wires. That kind of stuff is really unique and interesting, and I like seeing that kind of experimentation is going on. This is $225, which is about $25 more than the Hitbox brand and then the Snackbox Micro. But I really like it. Thanks again to Paradise Arcade for sending me this. Again, not with like an explicit expectation that I would do a review, but I have really enjoyed it, and I just wanted to say that I think it's worth checking out.